Welcome to Hyderabad City and a happy new year. Taking off from what Mr. Krishnababu has mentioned, we have to realize that India is practically sitting on a powder bed. Even globally, if you see, infrastructure requirement as estimated by McKinsey in the next 16, 17 years from now up to 2030 is about $60 trillion. $1 trillion being 62 lakh crore rupees in Indian terms. For India to sustain the growth rate which it had, now of course it has come down, as the famous estimate of the Planning Commission is $1 trillion, again 62 lakh crore in the current plan period. We are at 35% urbanization and initial levels of prosperity. If you see our car ownership, it's only 7 out of 1,000 people have cars, 0.7%. If we achieve the prosperity levels of majority of Western countries and other developed countries, and as it happened all over the world, if not 80%, 90% urbanization, even at 50% urbanization, it's going to be a nightmare the way the rapid urbanization is taking place in this country, the kind of urbanization that has to take place. And the context of our democracy, democracy is no doubt the best form of governance known to humans so far. But we should also realize that democracy means hard electoral politics, where even in developing countries, the political leaders are tempted to go for freebies rather than building infrastructure. So limited resources are always targeted more for the people. So how do we tackle the situation? Different sectors of infrastructure. Now today we concentrate on transportation alone, if you see. Intercity transportation, intercity transportation. See the kind of mess we normally face in the city. Unfortunately, the reforms that have taken place in this country have bypassed railways. As a result, we are not able to build good railway infrastructure that's required for the country. Water, another water transport is another one which we neglected. Be it coastal shipping, be it internal waterways, we have neglected. Any Indian cities in the evening after 10 o'clock, Hyderabad is no exception. Please have a look at the buses, intercity buses that are planning to leave the city, get out of the city to go to another city. It's a complete mess. Daytime, intercity transportation is a mess. Nighttime, when we want to go out, there's a reservation for the trains and say you have waiting list for the next 120 days, you will not get. This is the problems we are facing. So it's going to be a real challenge, okay, in the present environment to raise resources, number one, to plan good, efficient projects which are required for improving the infrastructure and concentrate on all these things, how we develop this. So I think the planners, the engineers, architects, all of us have to be very innovative to solve the problems of this country, to improve the infrastructure that's required to maintain even normal growth rates. Coming to Hyderabad, as he has correctly mentioned it, actually, like any other Indian city, there's a need to increase the share of public transportation. So right now, as you mentioned, actually, we are only about around 40% is public transportation. We have to increase it. This experiment we started. This project, for example, Hyderabad Metro Rail project, we are doing in a different way. Nowhere in the world a project of this magnitude is taken up as a public-private partnership. There are about 200 mass transit systems in the world, less than half a dozen are built as PPP projects. Only 4 out of the 200 projects actually make money, the Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Taipei. So how do we make a project like this, a huge project, actually financially viable project? That was the challenge I had. So what I did was, the project which was initially designed as a government project, without changing any of the parameters, they identified 269 acres of land that's required for this particular project. Converting it into a private one, and in the financial model, only 50% of the revenues come from the passenger fares. There will be huge losses. To compensate, to cross-subsidize, We have allowed commercial exploitation of the airspace that is identified 269 acres. We have not added a storage of land extra to the 269 acres, which was originally contemplated as a common project. We have allowed commercial exploitation through engineering innovation. 30% of the depot areas can be commercially developed, and over the ground space, ground will be used for all your rail network and parking and circulation, other even commercial exploit. This was one thing we came up innovatively. People initially dismissed, they said, no, the world is done, so it can't be done. You know, the pundits of mass transit system, you're aware of the famous controversy that has happened, especially when we first failed with makers. But ultimately, we have to think of innovative solutions. We are going ahead, and the problems we have mentioned, so far as implementation part is concerned, any number of problems we face day in and day out, actually. For example, in this project, implementation of this project, I would say that only 30 to 35% of the challenges are engineering challenges. About 65% to 70% of the challenges are non-engineering challenges. So the coordination among different government departments. Right of way is another concept actually which troubles me a lot. Right of way during the British period was fine because at the time the cities had not developed actually. So railways could have a right of way, national highways could have a right of way. Now we've got to share right of way. I lost about 2 to 3 years negotiating with railways, negotiating with national highways to get the right of way, to share the right of way, so that I could build a mass transit system over the national highway and to cross railway tracks at around 8 places. So these are all the challenges, huge, humongous challenges are there actually. So, interdepartmental coordination, then public private partnerships, the kind of systems which we are trying. Like that, so we learned a lot of lessons actually, so we have improved. And these kind of things were the experience which we have gained, perhaps no IIT, no IIM, no MIT, no Stanford or Harvard can teach you. So we are learning the hard way. The Krishna will be me in your first kind of thing. So it's a good way of doing it. But the hope I have is that actually once India takes to reforms, we are capable of doing the extreme things. I keep giving this example, the telecom sector, what we have achieved in the last 2 decades is phenomenal. No country in the world has achieved it. So that's the hope I have got. So I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to do things differently and we'll have to do things differently. Thank you. In fact, I did jump into metro. We studied different alternatives. In fact, I was fascinated by Bogota example where Mr. Enrique Penrose has done excellent work actually. Bogota used to be one of the worst cities of the world actually. In 3 years flat, he converted into one of the best cities of the world. Basically, BRT experiment. Coupled with bicycle, last mile, non-polluting connectivity and all these things. I tried to do the design, BRT design for Hyderabad city, but we were not able to get any. Maximum I could get because one lane could be spared for BRT. One lane BRT is giving me only about 9,000 HPBT peak or peak addition traffic, whereas my existing demand itself is around 30,000 HPBT, and I have to plan for the next 5-6 decades. Then the second thing is I'm very passionate about this sustainability aspect and intermodal integration, which he's talking about. And all these things, we were planning. So a lot of thought has gone into it, and definitely long-term sustainability of the project, both in terms of financial sustainability and the ecological sustainability. Both we give importance. In fact, to tell you, Hyderabad Metro is being done in a different way from other metros in the world. Now, I'm aware of the criticism about the metros. Metros are mostly built by engineers as engineering structures. Basically, they excel at engineering structural solutions. Because I'm looking at this project more as a social project, actually, where ultimately, see, why do we, are we repeating the mistakes of West, actually? Are we building cities for citizens or are we building cities for cars? So this project actually, see, what are the issues old people have? What are the issues women have? What are the issues children have? If we're able to integrate all these things into this, so lots of things are getting into this project, including the aesthetics is talking about actually, see, our peers and schools have looked different from the peers in other cities. Actually. So I call it actually poetry in concrete. So all these aspects are being looked after, and it's a continuous process. It's a continuous development.
Okay. Dr. Menon, I mean, you don't have to, traffic increases, as we are seeing in Delhi, simply increase the frequency of the trains, or you lengthen the, you make the trains longer. And you don't have the same issue as you would have in a road where the traffic increases, suddenly you see more traffic. Uh, how, how do you communicate the, that aspect, that benefit of projects like yours, in terms of sustainability? I mean, how do you communicate that benefit?
Number one, I don't say that metro is the solution for any city. First of all, we have to understand the traffic patterns. Depending on that, let us see, most of the Indian cities perhaps now require rail-based mass transit systems because road-based systems have certain limitations. We are the point where the HPT cannot be increased. But it's basically the intermodal integration, last mile connectivity, especially the traffic catchment areas of the stations and other things. How many columns are there? How do you connect? This is what the point was making actually. Unless and until you address all these things, sustainability can't be achieved. Because ultimately the aim is to bring down the carbon footprint. Carbon footprint can be brought down only with these things. To communicate that, then see, I feel then see, it's not compulsion, but definitely continuous interaction with different social groups. What are their aspirations? Now, for example, all of us, none of us actually travel by bus. The real problems a commuter would be known as those who are traveling with us, the problems they're facing. It's better that actually we have a lot of sessions which a gentleman was talking about, which many was talking about. That continuous interaction with the groups, take their inputs into account and redesign or improve the design. I think that leads to sustainability of the city.
Question to Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, you've frequent visitor to the.
Yeah, I entirely agree with you. Seamless travel is the need of the hour. For example, in our project, what we are doing is actually a single ticketing system we're trying to introduce. That is for the metro, for main rail trains, for buses, for other modes of transport. So it's a single ticket. In fact, that can be like it can be used for many other things. For example, see the AFC gates technology which we're bringing in automatic fare collection gets to have 16 fields. I can integrate 16 things. I fully agree with you. We're on that edge. We're in that edge.
Next question, sir.
It's a very valid issue you have raised. It's a very different issue. But number one, integrity levels both on the officer as well as the contractor both should improve. Number two, right now, as many of them are crossing their limits. The courts, the vigilance, so the tendency, natural tendency of an officer, no officer would like to sacrifice his career. They're very quickly. The safe approach is actually take a safe course of action. That's what, unfortunately, that's how most of it is. Because for non-performance, no officer is punished. But if you err on the wrong side, judgment actually, see, he's taken up by a people. As he mentioned it matures over a period of time. Definitely, will improve and things are much more better when compared to the earlier things. Actually, things are better now, and definitely we are moving to a better regime of contract management.